already discussed in the petition, ABS-CBN Corporation charges 30 pesos or 99 pesos from the viewing public to be able to watch the movies and other contents in the KBO channel. ABS-CBN Corporation has aired movies, boxing shows, concerts, and other events in its KBO channel for a fee and without obtaining a prior approval from the NTC. These acts are evidently not covered by the legislative franchise granted by the state in favor of ABS Corporation. Number 4, ABS-CBN Corporation was not authorized to use free-to-air signals for its operations of the KBO channel. Quite tellingly, ABS-CBN Corporation cannot produce a copy of the permit or document showing that it has been granted authority by the government, specifically the NTC, to operate a pay-per-view channel such as the KBO, despite having been previously ordered to desist from engaging in the pay-per-view services until the CAS guidelines has been issued. ABS-CBN Corporation nevertheless continuously operates the KBO channel in derogation of its franchise, the NTC directive and order, and the DICT framework. Number 5, the Philippine Depository Receipts or PDRs issued by the ABS-CBN Holdings Corporation grant beneficial ownership over the underlying ABS-CBN Corporation shares. ABS-CBN's own statement admitted how the issuance of PDRs allow foreign entities to participate in a media company whose ownership is required to be 100% Filipino. To quote, the PDRs unlock the share value of ABS-CBN Corporation, allowing foreigners to participate in a media enterprise whose ownership is constitutionally limited to Filipinos. With foreigners allowed to buy PDRs, the ABS-CBN Corporation shares, which have long been undervalued, can now play catch-up with regional media counterparts. This arrangement certainly is a circumvention of a foreign equity restriction provided under the Philippine Constitution. To reiterate, letter A, an ABS-CBN PDR holder has a right to delivery or sale of the underlying shares of stocks evidenced by the PDR. If the holder is a non-Filipino, delivery of the shares of stock can still be made to a Philippine person designated by the non-Filipino holder. Letter B. Upon exercise of the PDR exercise rights, the shares delivered or sold shall be lodged with the PCB unless and until the exercising holder, in case of delivery, or subsequent transferee, in case of sale, requests for upliftment into registered stock certificates evidencing shares. Letter C. The delivery of the shares comes with all the right of a shareholder, including voting rights. Letter D. An ABS-CBN PDR holder has a right to additional PDRs and to the adjusted terms and conditions upon occurrence of certain event. Letter E. An ABS-CBN PDR holder has a right to dividends from the underlying ABS-CBN Corporation shares. Letter F. An ABS-CBN PDR holder can modify or alter the rights upon passing of an extraordinary resolution. To conclude, the ABS-CBN PDR grants beneficial ownership to the PDR holders based on the rights conferred upon them, evidenced by the PDR instrument and PDR certificate submitted by ABS-CBN. To countenance this practice is a looming threat to our sovereignty, which the constitutional safeguards aim to protect. Indeed, The ABS-CBN PDR has provided for a creative mechanism to indirectly own the underlying ABS-CBN shares of stock. But no matter how creative, the resulting end remains that enables non-Filipino to beneficially own a media conglomerate, the ABS-CBN. The pleadings filed by the OSG and their attached documents already bear out the sins of ABS-CBN. I encourage you, honorable representatives of our people, to scrutinize every detail of the documents we have provided you. See for yourselves the facts as borne out by the documents, rather than the falsehoods peddled by various groups whose interests are served by maintaining the unfair and unjust status quo. National Artist for Literature F. Shonil Jose hit the nail on the head when he said, and I quote, "The real issue with ABS-CBN and its owners is not press freedom. It is money, politics, and power. How power is acquired, how it is abused and maintained, and most of all, how it obstructs the country's economic and democratic development. For decades now, ABS-CBN has been deceiving the Filipino people. Appropriately, Congress now seeks to revise the past of ABS-CBN to determine if they are worthy of a legislative franchise. In view of its nature as a grant from the state, a legislative franchise is not a right that can be exercised at will and pleasure. Rather, it is a privilege subject to regulation under such condition as the government may see fit. Thus, in cases of misuse, non-use, or abuse of a franchise, the state ought to reassert its authority and rights as a grantor, regardless of the grantee's identity and influence. Through the proceedings before this body, the time has come to expose ABS-CBN, whose owners and corporate officers continue to deceive the Filipino people into believing that they are in the service of the Filipino. In truth, however, ABS-CBN is motivated not by service, but by greed and desire for power and influence. Their brazen acts must come to an end. The hour of reckoning may have been delayed, but it has now come. As for ABS-CBN, you may have committed too many violations which went unnoticed and unpunished, but we are determined to root out such illegal practices. I could hear now the voice of Frank Sinatra resonate, and now the end is near. Maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat.